It's fishing season again, which means we get another clan booster for Bermuda Triangle. Hello and welcome everyone to today's video. We're going to be taking a look at the brand new clan booster 03, Blessing of Divas. So just like every year, we got our yearly Bermuda Triangle booster, and this one contains 45 cards, 1 GR, 5 triple rares, 7 double rares, 14 rares, and 18 commons, with 1 SGR, which is the cover card of the set, as well as 13 SP cards and 13 Wedding SP cards, and I'll show you an example on the screen right now. These are insanely expensive and they cost an arm and a leg each, so unless you're really lucky, you won't be getting too many. There are 44 new cards and 1 reprint of the old draw trigger, and on top of that, Olivia is printed in rare pattern, but that does not mean that she comes as often as a rare. You only get her 5 times per case, meaning she's as rare as the first GRs of the G series, like in GBT01 and GBT02. So, getting right into the set, let's go over our GR for this set, which is Celebrate Voice Loris. Now, this GR is actually not that expensive because she's really restricted to Harmony. So, she has Harmony, and her skill is once per turn GB2, you can almost 1 and flip any G unit face up, and then you choose as many of your rear guards as you have face up cards in your G zone. So if you have 1, you choose 1, if you have 3, you choose 3, and then you bounce them back to your hand, and until end of turn, Loris gets the skill that when she attacks, if all your units on the field are in Harmony, then you can choose 3 to give them plus 5k, and Loris gets a crit. So it's kind of a bit of a soul saver stuff going on. Don't forget that her skill is an act, so you bounce the stuff to your hand during the main phase, and then you can still call it back before going into the battle phase, so just keep that in mind. She's generally kind of okay, but she's definitely not too amazing. The crit is a nice bonus, but she can just run into a PG, so the fact that she gives plus 5k to 3 other units is actually quite nice, and that she only costs 1 counterblast. So she's pretty nice because you can potentially just return 1, and then, you know, that's not gonna... the fact that you just bounce 1 doesn't really change that much. What matters is that you have the full field in Harmony later on. Getting into the triple rares and arguably the best card of the set, this is Prism Image Sunshine Vert. So she has a limit break skill, so this is one of the first strides with limit break, I believe, and she does not have GB2, so you can actually use her on your first stride. So if you've got something like limit break remover, you can actually use her immediately. So her skill is an auto. At the end of the battle that she attacked the Vanguard, if your heart is a prism, you can persona flip and choose 3 cards from your hand and discard them. If you do, you choose 2 of your rear guards with prism in their name, bounce them back to your hand, you put the Ver into your G zone, and then you choose a grade 3 card with prism in its name from your hand and write as stand. So she's basically Chrono Dragon Fish stage, or Sushi stage. Like, she is basically a next stage for Bermudas. This is what makes her so good. She's an amazing card, and I can't really say much more about her. She's really, really good, and you're going to be seeing prisms a lot in tournaments now because this makes them really, really good. The next triple rare is Frontier Star Coral, so this clan booster kind of tries to support every little archetype, so the next one is Coral. Her skill is, when she attacks, you can count plus 1 and flip any G unit face up. If you use Soul Charge 1 and choose up to the same number of your rear guards as the number of cards in your soul with Coral in its card name and bounce them to your hand, and for each unit bounced, she gets plus 5k until end of turn. And if you have 2 or more face up Frontier Star Corals in your G zone, you can draw a card and choose 2 cards from your hand and call them to separate rear guard circles. So I'm not, I should put this as a disclaimer, I don't play Bermuda, so I can't really go too into depth on combos and stuff because I just don't play the clan, but this is kind of coming from someone that has played against it regularly in the past, so I kind of know what they do. But you know, this strike, you know, you can see that it's at least some support for Coral. Some unexpected support is Reindeer support. So this next triple rare is Peaceful Voice Reindeer. She has 2 skills, one of which is when you drive check a grade 3, you can choose a card from your hand, put it into your soul. If you do, you choose up to 1 of your rear guards and bounce to your hand. And if you've got a card named Velvet Voice Reindeer in your soul or trigger zone, she gets an additional drive check. So basically she can drive check 3 times. Her other skill is on a rearguard circle. At the end of the battle, your drive check revealed a card with Reindeer in its name. If she's standing on the rearguard circle, you can count them as 2. If you do, you ride her, and she gets -1 drive check. So she either drive checks 1 or drive checks 2, depending if you can use her first skill after already having used the second skill. So nice little Reindeer support. There's other stuff in this set that helps it out even more, so we'll get into that pretty soon. Got some more straight up Harmony support in Sparkle and her Heart Spica. So she's got Harmony, and she has all her skills are both on Vanguard and Rearguard circles. So her first skill is when your under unit is called during your battle phase, then this unit and that unit both get plus 2k each. So if it's a 9k, it basically becomes an unlimited attacker, which is pretty nice, and this isn't a once per turn. So basically if you just end up calling 5 during the battle phase, then all of them are going to get plus 2k and she's going to get a plus 10k. Then her other skill is when she attacks the Vanguard, if she's in Harmony, you can count plus 1, Soul Blast 1, both on Vanguard and Rearguard circle. If you do, you choose one of your units in Harmony, bounce it to your hand, and you choose one card from your hand and call it to Rearguard circle. So she's pretty solid all in all, so this kind of could be a backup grade 3 for Harmony decks. Next up, we have this token grade 2 triple rare that we've seen in every single G set lately, and this is Prestige Setia. So she's real, she's Prestige. So she's got Harmony, and she has an X skill both on Vanguard circle and Rearguard circle, and it's not on GB1, the first part at least, and it's count +1, and you rest one of your other Rearguards that are in Harmony, and then she gets plus 5k, and the skill, which is on GB1, so this part is GB1, when her attack hits a Vanguard, you countercharge 1, soul charge 1, and choose one of your Rearguards and bounce it back to your hand. The fact that it has to hit obviously kind of makes it not as good. It's kind of like Grand Volver for DP, that's kind of what I compare it to, but the fact that it has to rest something kind of hurts, but you know, I guess it's alright for now. But yeah, she's the last triple rare of the set. Getting into the double rares, we have the one and only G-Guardian that Bermuda is going to get for a while, which is Hand in Hand Leona. I'm not sure how I feel about her skill, but let's go over it. When you guard with her, you choose one of your Rearguards and bounce it back to your hand, then you choose a card from your hand and guard with it, and if it has the same name as the one that you returned to your hand, so the one that you bounced, that card that you guarded with gets plus 5k shield. So essentially, if you return a grade 2 or a grade 1, then it's going to be a 10k shield. But the fact that you have to return it kind of, I feel like this could have been better. Like, I feel like they couldn't have really gone the Denial Griffin way, because, you know, you can't just like rest something that's already attacking, it doesn't really make a difference. But maybe you could rest something like G-Guard and then rest something that hasn't attacked yet, you know? Or rather, maybe not rest, but bounce back to the opponent's hand. But obviously if like they bounce back something like a Sword Me, then they get to use that again, so it's not as great as the Nile Griffin. But I think she's okay, I think she's fine, you know, but I feel like she could have been a bit better than she is right now. Next up, we have a Great Ascent Liddy. So she's got Harmony and a GB2. All your units in Harmony get plus 2k, so this works on both your turn and your opponent's turn. And before we talk about opponent's turn, let's go over her other skill. When she's attacking, count +1, soul +1. If you do, you choose one of your rearguard circles. If there's a unit on that rearguard circle, you return it to your hand. If not, you call something there. So this really interacts with your opponent's turn a lot more, and normally some people would go like, oh, she's not that great, but why I think she's actually quite alright is because there's a lot of cards, especially in this set, that actually proc in your opponent's turn. So even in the previous set, like Shizuku, she could have proc in the opponent's turn as well if you call her. So I feel like this makes some of the cards in this set make her not as great. Like when I first saw her, I was like, oh, she's nothing amazing. But after I read some of the new cards in this set, I actually went like, hey, that's pretty good. Next up, we've got some more Prism support in brand new Prism Garnet. So, I actually really love her art. This might be my favorite Bermuda art right now. Like, I'm not a big fan of Bermuda, like I said before, but this might be my favorite card for now. And her skill is, again, Limit Break 4. When she attacks the Vanguard, you choose 3 Prisms in your hand and call them to separate rearguard circles. If you call 3 cards until end of that battle, Garnet gets the Ultimate Break skill, where she gets an additional drive check. So it's Limit Break 5, so you're not gonna get it that often. But you know, I've heard some people say that they might run the self damages just to achieve Limit Break 5 for one turn. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But generally, she's obviously not as great as the Emmy Grade 3. But you know, I've seen people run her at like 1 or 2, and I think that's actually a good number. Now, her second skill before we move away is when your other unit is bounced back to your hand, you can counterblast the Prism. If you do, you choose one of your units and gets plus 5k until end of turn. So when you would break ride her and you're bouncing a few cards, then you can actually stack up some power. Obviously it costs counterblast, but you know, you've got quite a few counter-charging cards in the deck, so it's not as bad. Next up we have PlayStation Vita. So she's got Harmony, she's a 9k grade 2, and on rearguard circle she's got the GB1 skill. At the beginning of each turn's main phase, you can soul blast 1 and return her to hand. If you do, you choose a grade 1 or less card from your hand and call it to an open rearguard circle, and if you've got a grade 4 grade of Vanguard, you countercharge 1. So she also works on your opponent's turn, if I understand it correctly. And again, that interacts with the grade 3 we were going over just now, but if you do it in your opponent's turn, you won't be getting the counter charge. You just get to proc some harmonies and maybe get some additional cards in your hand, so she could actually be pretty nice in a pure harmony deck. Next up is a double rare that I'm not sure how I want to feel about it. It's Brilliant Ocean Ellie. So she's got Harmony, and if she's in Harmony on Rearguard Circle on GB1, she gets plus 2k for each card with a Sentinel ability in a drop zone. So she can potentially have plus 8k on your opponent's turn if she's in Harmony. So, you know, I guess that's kind of cool. But her other skill is when you guard with her, you can Soul Blast 1, and if you got a Sentinel in your drop zone, then she gets plus 5k shield. Not that great, honestly. I don't like the... I don't know, I feel like she could have been better. I feel like because she used to be perfect guarded, they kind of focused on that too much, and I feel like that really hindered how good she could have been. But I know that some Bermuda professionals are going to come in and tell me that I'm wrong, so this is just coming from someone that doesn't play Bermuda. Next up is Garland Blossom Aina. She's got Harmony and a Rearguard Circle on GB1. When she becomes in Harmony, you choose one of your units and give it the Harmony effect. So if they don't have Harmony already, they will get it now. And then her act is not on GB1. You can counterblast 1 and rest her, and you choose all your units in Harmony in the same column or row as this unit, and they get plus 5k. So you most likely won't use the column one, but rather the row one. So, you know, you can rest her in front row or back row, and then buff up the front row, buff up 2 units in the back row, stuff like that. So she's kind of quite alright. I actually kind of like her, although the rest does kind of hinder her. If she was both row and column, that would be amazing, but the fact that you have to choose does hinder her a little bit. The final double rare is the Harmony Perfect Guard. So she's a Perfect Guard when your Vanguard's attacked, and then she's got Harmony, and here's the part I don't like. On GB1, at the end of each turn, if she's in Harmony, you can discard a card from your hand and then return her to hand. So most decks that have these special Perfect Guards, they either Soul Blast 1 to return to hand or stuff like that, but no, you need to actually discard a card. So I guess it's understandable in some decks because they make so much plus, but in some Bermuda decks, they don't make that much advantage to be able to discard a card every turn. So art-wise, she's nice, but skill-wise, I'm not sure how I feel. Getting into the rares, we're going to start off with one of the new strides, which is Flying Mermaid Frederica. She's actually pretty well rounded. She's got a Harmony skill, and then when her attack hits a Vanguard, you can flip any unit face up. If you do, you bounce one of your rear guards that are in Harmony back to your hand. You choose one card from your hand called your Rearguard Circle, and then choose one of your rear guards, and it gets plus 5k if it's in Harmony. So rather well-rounded. You get a bounce, you get to proc a Harmony, and then you get a plus 5k buff. No counterblast involved, just flipping up a G unit, so you could flip up a G unit and then bounce more with the new Loris. So I actually quite like her in a pure Harmony deck. I think she looks great as well, and generally I think she's actually quite alright, especially for rare. Next up is Whiteley Noble Fantine. She's got Harmony, and once per turn on GB1 you can rest her and choose one of your open rearguards and move her to that rearguard circle and stand her. And then her other skill is you can counterblast a Harmony, so you know that's even more restrictive. And if she's in Harmony, choose one of your other units and give it plus 3k until end of turn. Not sure how I feel about her. Her second skill isn't once per turn, so you can potentially spam it, but you don't have that much counter charge. But generally, I don't really like her that much. Her art is nice, but generally not too big of a fan. Again, I don't play Bermuda. This is just from somebody else's standpoint. We've got some bits and bobs of Coral support again. Next up is Active Pink Larana. When she attacks, she's an 11k attacker if you've got a Coral grade 3 or greater Vanguard, so she gets plus 2k. And then she has a Soul skill. You can counterblast 1 the main phase if you've got a Coral Vanguard that's grade 3 or greater. You can put it into your hand and then call her, so she goes to your hand and then you call her, and then you Soul charge 1, so you don't actually lose out on Soul. Next up is a piece of Reindeer support, and this one is really good. So, Inspect Sister's Robo, she's got a grade 1 counterpart as well. In the trigger zone, when you drive check her, she's a grade 3, if you've got a Reindeer Vanguard. So, we're doing the Die Bazooka thing over here. And so, basically, you'll be drive checking grade 3s all the time to proc the new Reindeer. And then her other skill is Soul Blast. And then her other skill is when her attack hits a Vanguard, if your Vanguard's a Coral, you can Soul Blast 1 and put her on the bottom of your deck. If you do, you draw 2 cards and shuffle your deck. Really good, because sure, you lose a Soul and you lose her as a unit, but, you know, the draw 2 is actually pretty nice because, you know, you'll eventually get her back. And the fact that she goes back to deck and you shuffle it means that you might drive check her again, where she'll be a grade 3, and that makes her pretty damn good in my opinion. We'll be coming back to the Coral and Reindeer support in a bit, but for now let's look at more of the Prism support, and here we've got Sunshine Rosa. Her skill is when she's bounced to hand from your circle and your Vanguard has Limit Break 4, you can Soul Blast 1. If you do, you choose one of your other units, and that unit and this unit get plus 3k. So she becomes a 12k attacker, and something else can become a 10k booster, a 12k attacker, stuff like that. So she's really good, and there's another Prism card that we're going to get into a bit later, which is even better. But yeah, Prisms are looking really good. We've got a really good looking rare in Artless Charmy Wakana. She's got Harmony, and when she's returned to hand from regular circle during her turn, so just during her turn, on GB1 you can Soul Blast 1. If you do, you choose any number of cards with a Harmony ability from your hand and reveal them, and then all units in your front row get plus 1k for each card revealed with this effect. So if you reveal 5, they get plus 5k, you reveal 10, they get plus 10k, but I'm not sure if you would want to reveal your entire hand. So really, it's an interesting skill. Probably won't see much use, especially since she's 8k, but she looks incredible, so I'll give her that. Now for some more Coral support, we've got Admire Successor Lyrica. When you ride her or call her, you reveal top 5 of your deck, search for a grade 2 or less card with Coral in its card name and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. If you put a card into your hand, you choose a card from your hand, put it into your soul. So she's kind of like a right chain fixer. So when you call her or ride her, you can fix the right chain essentially, if you manage to have it in your hand. And then she has a soul ability as well. You can choose a grade 2 or greater card from your hand, put into your soul. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater with Coral in its name, you put the Lyrica into your hand and choose one of your units and give it plus 2k. So potentially making something into an 11k attacker, something like that. So nice little pieces of Coral support, it's nice to see it, and that's for sure. Next up is a card I wasn't sure if I wanted to cover, but I feel like people will get on my ass if I didn't. This is Monotone Innocence Yuka. She's got Harmony and the Vanguard and Rearguard continuous skill during your turn. If this unit is in Harmony, all your other units in the same row as this unit get plus 1k. So she can potentially buff up everything by 1k, and I guess that can kind of help with magic numbers, but I don't know, I've obviously omitted some cards that I feel aren't that good and don't really need to be talked about. And this was kind of on the edge about this one, so I guess I'll let you guys decide on that one. Now the other piece of really good reindeer support is Dash Sisters Rainbow, so she kind of completes the duo of the grade with the grade 2. So she also has the skill on Trigger Zone. When you drive check her, she has a grade 3 if your Vanguard's a reindeer, and her other skill is when your drive check reveals a grade 3, if your Vanguard's a reindeer, you can put her on the bottom of your deck. If you do, you draw a card, shuffle your deck, and then countercharge 1. So you don't actually lose out on anything because she goes bottom of the deck, you draw a card, so that's a 0, and then you countercharge 1, so technically you make advantage by countercharging, if we can call that advantage. So really good, because the countercharging part is really good, and you'll be drive checking grade 3s. Like, you technically, if you play 8 grade 3s and then you max out the grade 2 and the grade 1, you're playing 16 grade 3s. That's like D-Robo's level of grade 3s. Next up is another brand new Prism, this time it's Emerald. So when she's returned to your hand from rearguard circle during the battle phase, if your Vanguard is a Prism, you can choose 2 of your rearguards with Prism in their names, bounce them back to hand, and if you bounce 2 cards, you choose one of your units and give it plus 5k. So it doesn't cost anything, which is really nice, but it has to be in the battle phase. But generally, she's alright. She could see play. Again, I'm not too keen on Bermudas, but this could see play because the little plus 5k is pretty nice. Next up, as with almost every set lately, we have a Quintet Wall. This time it's for duos. So when you guard with it, you can almost 1 Quintet Wall. And then the good part is that you choose 2 cards that you guarded with, and if the chosen ones have the same name, then you put those on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So pretty nice because it helps you not deck out, and in exchange you get to draw a card as well. So because you put back 2 and draw 1, that's kind of like you placed 1 still back in your deck, so it does kind of help with not decking out. But since it's duos, they legion anyways, so decking out probably won't happen, so it's actually pretty nice for them, I'd say. New Harmony starter, which I actually quite like, is Wholehearted Dream Meru. So she's a starter and she has Harmony, and then when your other unit is bounced back to your hand, you can put her into Soul on GB1, and if you do, you countercharge 1, choose one of your Vanguards and give it the skill that if it's in Harmony, all your front row units get plus 3k. So I like her because one, she gives you a soul, which is important in Bermuda. She gives you a counter charge, which is important in Bermuda, and then she gives you a front row buff, which is a nice little extra. So generally a pretty good starter, especially since it's pure harmony, so I do quite like her. And now we get to the Prism card that I was talking about earlier. This is Prism Image Sunshine Clear. So she's a critical trigger, which is super good. Like, giving a crit a skill is always a great thing. So when she's returned to your hand, if your Vanguard's a Prism, you can count plus 1 and reveal Sunshine Clear in your hand. And if you do, you search your deck for up to one grade 1 or greater card with Ver, Rosa, or Clear in its name. Call it to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck, and then you can even return it to your hand. So basically, when you're grade stuck and don't have a grade 3, you can use her to search for Ver, and then, you know, just put it back to hand and write it next turn. Really, really good card, like insanely good. I'm amazed by how good this critical trigger is. So if you play the old Rosa and Clear as well, you got more grade fixing to do. So definitely an amazing critical trigger. Final rare we're going to be talking about is the new Harmony stand trigger, Jump on the Water, Amelie. So they're doing this Schwartz thing where they put the exclamation mark. But anyway, her skill is on rearguard circle and on GBB1. If she's in Harmony, she gets the skill where you can put her into your soul, draw a card, and choose one of your rearguards and give plus 2k. Kinda like her because one, she gives you soul, she gives you hand advantage, and she adds power slightly. If she gives 2 units power, that would be a bit better, but I guess even 1, it's alright. Moving into the comments, so now there won't be as much incredible stuff here. So next up is Shyness Laguna Lapla. She is a piece of reindeer support. When you drive check grade 3, if your Vanguard is a reindeer, you can soul blast 1. If you do, choose a card from your hand, call it to an open rearguard circle, and that unit and this unit get plus 2k. So if you call grade 2, then they both become 11k attackers, which is pretty nice, so I thought I would mention this little comment. Next up is a cute little duo support card. When you call her, if Vanguard's a duo, she gets plus 2k power, and then you can reveal 3 duo in your hand with the same name, and if you reveal 3 then and they all have the same name, then she gets another plus 5k. So she becomes a 16k attacker on her own, which is quite impressive considering she doesn't really have a cost apart from revealing 3, which, you know, duo does all the time anyway. So pretty nice. Next up, we've got Splatoon in Vanguard. So first off, we have One Stroke Art Carla. These cards aren't exceptionally good, but I thought I'd mention them just for the Splatoon reference. First off, they've got Harmony, and on rearguard on GB1, when she attacks, this is about Carla. When she attacks, she gets plus, and she's in Harmony, she gets plus 4k until the end of that battle. And on both Vanguard and rearguard circle, if you have a Mary in the same column as her, she gets plus 2k. So even if you ride her and you get Mary behind her, she'll be a 10k on your opponent's turn. So, you know, think about that, I guess. And then here's her idol partner, Title Art Mary. So she's got Harmony, she's a 6k grade 1, and her act is a once per turn GB1. If she's in Harmony, if you soul blast 1, you can choose one of your other units in the same column as this unit, and it gets plus 4k. So most likely, Callie will be, Carla, I'm sorry, will be in the same column. And then her other skill is if Carla is in the same column, she gets plus 2k. So they work off each other. Nothing too amazing, but I thought I would mention this. And they've also got they've got the whole painting supplies going on. And if you look at I forgot what that thing is called, where the colors are on the paint thing. I know it in my own language, I don't know it in English, but it looks like a squid. So I thought I would mention that, you know, gotta get them Splatoon references going. Moving on, we have Intellect Polished Senna. So she's got Harmony, but she's 8k, and if she's in Harmony, she gets plus 2k on both turns, yours and your opponent's. And when she intercepts during the battle your Vanguard was attacked, she gets plus 5k shield. So that's pretty much the only reason why you would really use her. Another piece of duo support in duo, Caprice Cats Mariona. When she's returned to your hand during the battle phase, if your Vanguard's a duo, you can soul blast 1. If you do, countercharge 1 and then reveal 3 Mariona from your hand. If you do, then countercharge another one. So countercharge 2. That's what she does for soul blast 1. She's alright. If you don't run the Legion, she's especially good. But if you do, then she won't be as necessary, I feel. Next up is another reindeer support, this time it's a grade 1. She has a rearguard skill, your unit named Velvet Voice Reindeer, in the same column as this unit gets plus 1k. So because Velvet Voice Reindeer is only a 10k, this is the old reindeer, she becomes an 11k, whether you can put Suifa behind the Vanguard and then she'll be a 11k Vanguard as well. And then her rearguard skill in the back row is when you drive check a grade 3, if your Vanguard is a reindeer, until end of battle, Suifa gets the skill. At the end of battle, you move her to an open rearguard circle and then stand her and she gets plus 4k. It's worded really weirdly, so I explained it in my own terms, and I think I'm still in the right field. So she basically becomes an Olympic attacker and she can kind of move around, so it's pretty cool, I guess. Some more commons I thought I'd mention. One is new song debut Alte. When she's returned to your hand, you can choose 2 units and give them plus 2k each. Reason why I mention it is because you can kind of do this skill a lot and then end up buffing a lot of your stuff by 2k, so you know, I keep mentioning 11k attackers a lot, but this does help achieve that, so, you know. But she's a 6k, so in general she's not that good and probably will never see play, but you know, we gotta give the spotlight to them somehow. Next up is the reindeer starter, so they're really pushing the reindeer support. At the end of the battle, she boosted if your Vanguard's a reindeer. You can counterblast 1 and put her in the soul. If you do, you choose one of your rearguards and bounce them back to your hand, and choose 2 cards from your hand and call them to separate open rearguard circles. So, you know, cool, I guess. I can't really say too much about this because it's pretty well rounded and it's nice that reindeer got her own starter, but yeah, there's not too much for me to say about this. Speaking of new starters, Duo got a new starter in Duo Cotton Sleeper Ichika. So her skill is you put it in the soul. If your Vanguard's a Duo, you choose one of your rearguards with Duo in its name and bounce to your hand. Then choose 3 cards from your hand, reveal them. If you reveal 3, and if they have the same name, you choose 3 of your units and they get plus 4k each. She's pretty nice because not only does she bounce something to hand, she also buffs a lot of stuff, so in the late game this could actually become quite a big threat, especially if you play multiples of her, so this could actually be pretty cool. And the final card of the set, and also the final new starter, is the new Prism starter, which is brand new Prism Sapphire or Sapphire. So, when you grade 3 or greater unit with Prism in its original card name is placed on Vanguard Circle, so when you write something or if you stride the new Ver, then you choose one of your rearguards with Prism in its name and bounce it back to hand. Just like to point out that she doesn't go into the soul or get retired or anything. As long as she's on the field, you get to do that. So, pretty interesting. She doesn't actually leave the field, so interesting little starter, and she could see use, she might not, we'll see about that. So that's pretty much it for this entire set. So I did skip a few cards that I felt weren't that good, and hopefully the best Bermuda players in the world don't judge me too much for that, but that's pretty much it for this set. Like I said, it's a really nice set, especially for prisms. They are my favorite archetype in Bermuda, so even though I don't play Bermuda, I have a lot of respect for prisms, so I'm happy they got support, and I'm expecting to see them top. They haven't really topped in Japan much, but I'm hoping to see them top in the West, which I'm pretty sure they will. So yeah, and I'm also pretty glad that we managed to keep this under 30 minutes as well. Well, so far, I'm sure this outro part will go up to 30 minutes, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.